Top 30 facts you need to know and listen to. 1. A cloud weighs around 1,000,000 tons. A cloud typically has a volume of around 1 cubic kilometer and a density of around 1.003 kilograms per m3. That's a density that's around 0.4% lower than the air surrounding it. This is how they are able to float. 2. Giraffes are 30 times more likely to get hit by lightning than people. True, there are only 5 well-documented fatal lightning strikes on giraffes between 1996 and 2010. But due to the population of the species being just 140,000 during this time, it makes for about 0.003 lightning deaths per thousand giraffes each year. This is 30 times the equivalent fatality rate for humans. Make sure you subscribe and share before you continue. 3. Identical twins don't have the same fingerprints. You can't blame your crimes on your twin, after all. This is because environmental factors during development in the womb, umbilical cord length, position in the womb, and the rate of finger growth impact your fingerprint. 4. Earth's rotation is changing speed. It's actually slowing. This means that, on average, the length of a day increases by around 1.8 seconds per century. 600 million years ago, a day lasted just 21 hours. 5. Your brain is constantly eating itself. This process is called phagocytosis, where cells envelop and consume smaller cells or molecules to remove them from the system. Don't worry. Phagocytosis isn't harmful, but actually helps preserve your gray matter. 6. The largest piece of fossilized dinosaur POO discovered is over 30 centimeters long and over 2 liters in volume. Believed to be a Tyrannosaurus rex turd, the fossilized dung, also named a coprolite, is helping scientists better understand what the dinosaur ate. 7. The universe's average color is called cosmic latte. In a 2002 study, astronomers found that the light coming from galaxies averaged into a beige color that's close to white. 8. Animals can experience time differently from humans. To smaller animals, the world around them moves more slowly compared to humans. Salamanders and lizards, for example, experience time more slowly than cats and dogs. This is because the perception of time depends on how quickly the brain can process incoming information. 9. Water might not be wet. This is because most scientists define wetness as a liquid's ability to maintain contact with a solid surface, meaning that water itself is not wet, but can make other objects wet. 10. A chicken once lived for 18 months without a head. Mike the chicken's incredible feat was recorded back in the 1940s in the USA. He survived as his jugular vein and most of his brainstem were left mostly intact, ensuring just enough brain function remained for survival. In the majority of cases, a headless chicken dies in a matter of minutes. 11. All the world's bacteria stacked on top of each other would stretch for 10 billion light-years. Together, Earth's 0.001 mm long microbes could wrap around the Milky Way over 20,000 times. 12. Wearing a tie can reduce blood flow to the brain by 7.5 per cent. A study in 2018 found that wearing a necktie can reduce the blood flow to your brain by up to 7.5%, which can make you feel dizzy, nauseous, and cause headaches. They can also increase the pressure in your eyes if on too tight and are great at carrying germs. 13. The fear of long words is called hippopotomonstrosesquipedaliophobia. The 36-letter word was first used by the Roman poet Horace in the 1st century BCE to criticize those writers with an unreasonable penchant for long words. It was American poet Amy Nedjikimatithil, possibly afraid of their own surname, who coined the term how we know it in 2000. 14. The world's oldest dog lived to 29.5 years old. While the median age a dog reaches tends to be about 10 to 15 years, one Australian cattle dog, Bluey, survived to the ripe old age of 29.5. 15. The world's oldest cat lived to 38 years and 3 days old. Cream Puff was the oldest cat to ever live. 16. The sun makes a sound but we can't hear it. In the form of pressure waves, the sun does make a sound. The wavelength of the pressure waves from the sun is measured in hundreds of miles, however, meaning they are far beyond the range. 16. Mount Everest isn't the tallest mountain on Earth. Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa in Hawaii, the twin volcanoes, are taller than Mount Everest due to 4.2 kilometers of their heights being submerged underwater. The twin volcanoes measure a staggering 10.2 kilometers in total, compared to Everest's paltry 8.8 kilometers. 17. Our solar system has a wall. The heliopause, the region of space in which solar wind isn't hot enough to push back the wind of particles coming from distant stars, is often considered the boundary wall of the solar system and interstellar space. 18. Octopuses don't actually have tentacles. They have 8 limbs, but they're arms, for most species. Technically, when talking about cephalopods, octopuses, squids etc., scientists define tentacles as limbs with suckers at their end. Octopus arms have suckers down most of their length. 19. Most maps of the world are wrong. On most maps, the Mercator projection, first developed in 1569, is still used. This method is wildly inaccurate and makes Alaska appear as large as Brazil and Greenland 14 times larger than it actually is. For a map to be completely accurate, it would need to be life-size and round, not flat. 20. NASA genuinely faked part of the moon landing. While Neil Armstrong's first steps on the lunar surface were categorically not faked, the astronaut quarantine protocol when the astronauts arrived back on Earth was largely just one big show. 21. Comets smell like rotten eggs. A comet smells like rotten eggs, urine, burning matches, and almonds. Traces of hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, sulfur dioxide, and hydrogen cyanide were all found in the makeup of the comet 67P/Churyumov-Gerasimenko. Promotional postcards were even commissioned in 2016 carrying the pungent scent of a comet. 22. Earth's poles are moving. This magnetic reversal of the North and South Pole has happened 171 times in the past 71 million years. We're overdue a flip. It could come soon, as the North Pole is moving at around 55 kilometers per year, an increase over the 15 kilometers per year up until 1990. 23. You can actually die laughing. And a number of people have, typically due to intense laughter causing a heart attack or suffocation. Comedy shows should come with a warning. 24. Chainsaws were first invented for childbirth. It was developed in Scotland in the late 18th century to help aid and speed up the process of symphysiotomy, widening the pubic cartilage, and removal of disease-laden bone during childbirth. It wasn't until the start of the 20th century that we started using chainsaws for wood chopping. 25. Ants don't have lungs. They instead breathe through spiracles, 9 or 10 tiny openings, depending on the species. 26. The T. Rex likely had feathers. Scientists in China discovered early Cretaceous period tyrannosaur skeletons that were covered in feathers. If the ancestors of the T. Rex had feathers, the T. Rex probably did, too. 27. Football teams wearing red kits play better. The color of your clothes can affect how you're perceived by others and change how you feel. A review of football matches in the last 55 years, for example, showed that teams wearing a red kit consistently played better in home matches than teams in any other color. 28. Wind turbines kill between 10,000 and 100,000 birds each year in the UK. Interestingly, painting one of the blades of a wind turbine black can reduce bird deaths by 70%. 29. Snails have teeth. Between 1,000 and 12,000 teeth, to be precise. They aren't like ours, though, so don't be thinking about snails with ridiculous toothy grins. You'll find the snail's tiny teeth all over its file-like tongue. 30. Sound can be -decibels. The quietest place on Earth is Microsoft's anechoic chamber in Redmond, Washington, USA, at -20.6 decibels. These anechoic chambers are built out of heavy concrete and brick and are mounted on springs to stop vibrations from getting in through the floor. Make sure you subscribe, share and follow for more interesting facts.